Here you can see we are working with a file that has two colors. So over here in Photoshop, we have layer 1, which is a pink cloudy shape and text that has been knocked out, and then layer 2, which is yellow type to go on top. So the reason why we knocked out the yellow type to go on top of the pink layer is because this is a pastel light color, and when it gets printed over a color like this that would have more pigment to it, it would be very difficult to see it as its true yellow shade. So what we did was made it so that there was no pink where that text is going to fall on top. To make this compatible with screen printing, the first thing we need to do is convert these two color layers into 100% black. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to show you two. So the first thing we're going to do is just make sure that we're selected onto this first layer, the pink layer, and we're going to go up to select and click on color range. So from there you can see you can choose what color we're trying to select independently of any other colors that might be here. So I'm going to take the dropper tool and pick the pink color and then press OK. So you can see all of the pink here has been selected and outlined, and we're now going to fill it with black. So I'm going to click on this swatch color here and then bring the cursor all the way to the corner here so that that hex number right there is actually 6 zeros. That's the blackest black. We're going to press OK and then fill it in. With our brush tool, and then deselect. There we go, 100% black. My second color layer, this yellow type, what I'm going to do is make the first layer invisible, and then I'm going to hold down the Command key and click into the text box right here. What that does is select everything that would be within that box. So here it is selected, and now right above here in the character section where the color is indicated, I'm going to click on that and then again roll my cursor over to the corner so that the hex number is 6 zeros in a row. Press OK and then deselect. So there we go. We have two layers of 100% black information, and now I'm going to print this out. Once you feel happy with the way your imagery looks, you want to print it onto regular paper to make sure everything is looking just the way you'd like it. So here I'm going to print. Perfect, nice and solid black. So that means I'm ready to go ahead and print this onto Komodo paper. Komodo paper is a special kind of frosted mylar made to go through a laser printer. I'm going to stick this into the drawer of my laser printer and then print as normal. Excellent. If you don't have the luxury of a laser printer, an inkjet printer works great too. Speedball makes this one specifically for inkjet printers, which is likely what you would have at home. We're going to print it here. There we go. So you can see the inkjet printing is a little bit lighter and more transparent than laser printing. So what you might want to do is print 2 copies of it out and layer them on top of each other. And if you see anything that is obviously going to be an interruption in your exposure, let this dry completely, and then you can go over the empty moments with marker on the back side of this. Here you can see my film that I created on the inkjet printer that does look pretty light, so I feel like I need to double up 2 films together to create the ideal darkness for exposing onto my screen. Now, something I want to bring up with this speedball film is that there is a right and wrong side, and you want to make sure that you're printing onto the side that has just the tiniest little bit of tooth to it, and it's going to hold on much better. So what I'm going to do here is, well, this is a light table, so you can see where there are issues, where there's any moment in there that is not quite dark enough. So I'm going to cut one of these a little bit smaller than the other so that there is surface area to tape it onto the other film. And then I'm going to line this up the best that I can. There we go. That is perfect. Just like that. And then using clear Scotch tape, I'm going to tape one film to the other so it doesn't move. Perfect. Now, if there are any moments in here that are still pretty light or that I'm worried about, I can flip it on the other side and then go in with a film opaque marker and just fill it in wherever it needs to be filled in. Let's say I have my film printed from a laser printer, and here it is on regular paper. And I don't have Komodo paper to print out onto. I'm going to show you a method to modify this in a way that's going to work well for you as a film. This also works very well if you are trying to do something larger in scale and you don't have films that will be accommodating to your scale. So I just take my laser printed piece of paper and I pour just a little bit of regular vegetable oil onto the paper, and then using a rag, I just spread it out all over the paper, and I'm doing this onto newsprint so that I don't make a mess all over my table. Probably need just a little bit more. Just rub it all over, and essentially what's happening, a lot like when you buy French fries and they come inside of a bag, it makes the paper of the bag transparent, the grease of the French fry. And so that's exactly what's happening here. The oil itself is actually making my bond paper transparent so that it is very much like a film. So when this gets exposed onto my screen, the paper will allow the light to shine through and expose the emulsion that's in the negative space. There we go. So now I'm going to take a new newsprint . Just blot it so it's not dripping with oil. Perfect. Now be very careful not to let this sit on anything of value because this grease is going to transfer into anything. But again, if you need to print this out onto larger paper, you can get that done at FedEx office and then just oil it. This method is amazing. It's DIY, but it's actually incredibly effective. When you're ready to expose, you just want to take your foam that you printed out and put it face down toward the bottom of your screen. So this is ready to expose. I have my foam on the interior. I'm going to tape this centered so it's secure and not going to move. And then you know that you've positioned it correctly because once it's exposed and you flip this around, your information is in the orientation you'd like it to be in. So again, I'd put that foam back into the interior. I place my glass on top and then cover it with black dark fabric, whatever it is, blanket, sweatshirt, so that I can be ready to expose either outside or under a lamp.